Hi, everybody. Welcome to episode 4 of Breaking It Down with Jodi Marks. My name is Jodi Marks, and today our topic is going to be being a voice for the community through art. And we have an amazing panel for you for today. Can I talk? Okay. Hello. So the artists we have today are Daisia Iman, Kade'sha Barnard, and Taylor Fagins. They are amazing artists through, the USA, because we have what? Taylor, you're from New York right now?
Yep.
Daisia, you're from Atlanta.
Yep.
And then we have Kade'sha in Hollywood.
Yep.
Thank you for being here with us, especially Taylor. I know, it's 9:30?
Hey, I ain't going to sleep till midnight, so we're good.
He said, I'm up. There's nothing to do.
Yeah.
Okay. So for this show, we're going to be getting into topics of, the community through art, which means music, spoken word, theater, painting, etc. Anything that is a creative outlet. So when I say art, just know we're speaking all terms, not just painting, if that makes sense. So our first question is, can you all give everyone listening a little background into how you all became artists and what you have been up to lately?
Hey guys, my name is Kade'sha Barnard, as we said, and I became an artist. I would like to say I was always an artist, but didn't know it yet. I've always been creative. I started drawing when I was like really little. All of my family are artists, but I'm the only one who decided to pursue it. And how I decided to do that was I wasn't doing that well in high school, because when I'm not interested by things, I kind of don't do them. So I wasn't really doing my work, and it showed. And I was just like, I know I'm not gonna use the Pythagorean theorem. I'm not gonna use any of the stuff that they're teaching. So I told my mom I really wanted to go to school for singing, and I auditioned for AMDA, College and Conservatory of the Performing Arts in LA, and I got in. So I went from North Carolina, small town Asheville, North Carolina, to LA in 2013 to pursue a major in music theater. Graduated 3 years later with my BFA, and I have stayed out here ever since. I'm still currently in Hollywood, but what I've been doing now and since then is, with everything going on in the world, I was like, you know what, I'm not about to go back and work for anybody else but myself. So I've been trying to figure out how I can use my voice creatively to serve like my life and help others and service others. So I actually created my own company called Culture Tunes, in which I take animated characters and cartoons and have them reflect Black culture and Black experiences, something that I don't really see often or at all, but through like art has always been like a major part of my life, and I see myself always being creative. And since then, I'm an actor as well. I've been on Shameless, fortunately. I have done numerous performances off Broadway or in certain theaters locally here. Started working background vocals with certain artists. So I kind of dabble in everything, and I just love being creative. Oh, also follow Culture Tunes at culture_tunes, culture with a K.
Oh, I love that. And then Taylor?
Wow. Yeah, I don't know how to follow that up. That's amazing. That's a lot.
Thank
Over
you.
here, I'm like, is there anything I do other than sing? Do I cook? I don't know. So I'm Taylor. I'm here in New York. I became an artist. I grew up in California. I was in California all my life. Didn't figure out that I wanted to do anything creative until high school, when I saw people singing on stage through choir, and I was like, oh, I guess I want to do that. So I did that and football, and then eventually left football to continue to sing. And yeah, so then I went to college for musical theater. Halfway through, realized that I actually like writing more than I like being on the stage. and then eventually moved to New York and started. I still act here and there. I went to Oregon Shakespeare Festival to be a part of a show there, but mainly, I've written a musical. I've written some plays. I'm working on other projects in New York. I write songs all the time just because they just happen. Something happens in the world, or honestly, sometimes I just get bored. I'm like, I want to write a song today. So yeah, that's just kind of what I do, and that's the kind of art that I do too. Not as much as Kade'sha. She over there just killing the game.
She
Stop.
really is. She said
Thank you.
businesswoman. Okay.
Well, I think you both are very dope. I think that's all amazing. Thank you, Jodi, for having me. My name is Daisia Iman. My pronoun is they. I'm a queer artist out here in Atlanta. What I do is cultivate shows and streams of income for queer artists at once a week, just so queer people of color can have a safe space and a place to perform, not only them, but also myself. I'm a singer and a songwriter. I just came out with an EP not too long ago, almost a year ago, called Fake Happy. And that's really what I do. Same with Kade'sha, same with Taylor, musical theater, you know what I'm saying? Musical theater kid. Always was a dancer, always was a singer, sang in choir also. But once I graduated, kind of figured I don't like the whole audition process. I think I just can audition in better ways, like putting myself forward as a performer, as an artist. So getting work in that way and just working it through there and writing a bunch of songs all the
I love that. You all are so amazing. I'm like
time.
just sitting over here, just like, oh my gosh, business. Oh my gosh, putting it out. I love that. So, but I really want to know, why is it so important to use your craft and speak up, especially in today's world?
Well, for me, honestly, I think that's the whole point of music. There's no other reason. Kind of like even in our craft, think about it like musical theater. We sing because there's no more words left to say, right? So imagine pain, joy, same reasons why you sing in a musical, right? It's like for me, and again, I think for the idols, I idolize Nina Simone, Bob Marley. You have to kind of speak about what's going on in the best way you know how. And it seems like ours is creativity. So it's important because it spreads the word in a different type of way. Everybody learns differently. You know what I'm saying? Everybody gets awareness differently. And I think music shines it in a very specific way that allows you to listen, enjoy, and be moved.
Hmm. Yeah, I really like what you said. You said, everybody speaks out in a different way. I feel like that's something like I had to learn recently with my music and my art. Is that like, yeah, you're right. Like that's kind of what music is for. I just learned recently that like, yeah, talking to people about like, oh, why aren't you out protesting? Why aren't you out doing this, and that? Why don't you get outside? Why don't you go do something? And I had to sit there for a second. I'm like, oh, hold up, slow down there. I'm gonna go protest something, but I'm processing some stuff.
Yeah.
And I had to think about it and be like, like you said, in other wars and other battles in history, like there were different pieces. It wasn't just like one thing. And art was always a part of it. Art was somehow always a part of it. I mean, you watch people be making propaganda films, people be writing music, making posters. Like art has always been an intricate part of getting messages out and getting information out and getting perspectives out. And so I feel like it's been a huge part. Art has been a huge part of what's happening right now, what's happening today in the world. Um, because there's a lot of perspectives you can't see unless you hear it in a song or you see it in a video or you see it through art in general. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so true though, because I know a lot of people might not listen to what you have to say if you speak it to their face. You know what I mean? But like if you show them a song and that's how you feel, they'll be like, oh, I get it now. Like it's so weird because you could literally be saying the exact same thing, the exact same issue, and they'll be like, I don't get it. Why? And then you'll give them a song and then they'll hear emotion in the like, it's just like that. I don't know, something about just having just something. I don't even know what it is, if it clicks in our brain or something. It's just like that emotion you get, like a song that makes you cry. you know, or a song that literally will get you hyped up. Like, you know what I mean? You just feel that emotion. And sometimes, unfortunately, you just can't portray that when you're just talking to someone. And I feel like it's especially important right now because a lot of people might not want to have these hard discussions, but they'll go and, you know, hide somewhere and listen to a song that somebody just made. You know what I mean? Or they'll listen to a spoken word and maybe realize that, you know, their little bubble that they've created for themselves is not the right outlook on life. So that's why I feel that art is so important for the community, is because, you know, you're giving them like kind of a resource, right? It's not just something that they're just going to be like, okay. It's like actually making you think and listen, you know? It's not like they're just going to be like, oh, and it also gets in your head. Like how many times we've had songs or something like stick with us, or even a visual image, and you're just like, wow, that made me think. Like all the images we're seeing like sprayed across everywhere, like no matter if it's Hollywood, New York, Atlanta, all of the murals, like all of the paintings, you know what I mean? Like you walk down the street and you can't go anywhere without saying like Black Lives Matter, and I love that.
Yeah.
But like, why is that so important, especially for the younger generation? You know what I mean? They're coming up and they're seeing all that. Why do you think?
I feel like, oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, go for it.
I feel like during this time, I've been reminded a lot of the quote, "The revolution will not be televised." And I think in its original origin, it was meant to emphasize the importance of not just sitting around and watching the news, because what's being portrayed in the media is not what's actually happening. And I think art has been a vehicle through decades and decades for people to really see what is happening and what is going on, whether it's music or videos or just creatives in general. A lot are the people who are in the forefront, you know, and who are creating new platforms and art to express what is actually going on. And if anything, a lot of the music that we hear over the years, people have always been talking about their experiences. And I feel like a lot of the things that happen over the years, like I said, is being portrayed through the vehicle of art regardless. But then I also think, like, I often ask myself a lot, why was I given these gifts? Like, why else? Why not? Like, why? I wasn't given the gift to sing, to act, to create, to draw, paint, whatever it may be that I'm doing at the moment. I wasn't given all these talents just to sit on it, you know? So why not create? Why not do what you were born to do, in my opinion? I feel like not everybody can be an entrepreneur. Not everybody can live through their art, but regardless of whether you do art as a hobby or you do it as a career and a profession, you still have a voice on whatever platform that you choose to use. So why not use it if you can do it, you know?
Exactly. You know, because you using your platform like that, you know, you're being a voice for the unheard. Because I hate the saying like voice for the voiceless, because everybody has a voice. You know, everybody has something, an opinion. So I hate that saying, but like a voice for the unheard, because there's so many people that, yeah, they might share their stuff, but they're unheard because people are like, okay, there's, all right, I don't care. But for some reason, artists, you know, they get that like, oh, what are they doing kind of thing. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's so important that all three of you have made art in this kind of crazy storm that we're going through, this life that we call 2020, have made something and have changed the narrative of the media. Because, you know, the media is showing all the bad. And honestly, right now, there's still good protests going on, but you don't see them.
Yeah.
You don't hear about it. But then, like, I'll see stuff on Instagram of a beautiful painting that somebody's drawn of people coming together. And I'm just like, see, there it is. Like, but the thing is, why can't the media show this kind of art? You know what I mean? Like, why do you think?
I don't think it ever will.
Yeah.
I think the media is literally there to do that. Like, the media is supposed to feed us a false narrative of whatever they're trying, whatever agenda they're pushing whatever they want us to buy into for the moment, whether it's literally buy like with our money or just like with our mind. But I don't think the media will ever tell, like the mainstream media will ever tell the full truth, because its purpose is not to do that.
And I love this question because also pay attention. So many people die all the time on camera. So many animals die all the time on camera. So many white people die all the time on camera. Why are Black lives repeatedly shown on camera 24/7, 7 days a week? Like, remember when all that happens? All you see is that video repeatedly, right? And I've been telling people, pay attention to that. Even though they're broadcasting us and only in a dark light, only in ways to show us in a negligent form. So no matter what, that stream of media wasn't even for us anyways. So that's why they're not showing the peacefulness, because they don't care about that either. You know what I'm saying? As much as they're biased, no, like the things we consume, they blatantly show their racism. You see what I'm saying? And they blatantly show their disagreement with what we're doing, but they have to show it. You know what I mean? So they definitely choose to show the bad parts.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it kind of falls on platforms like ours, where we're showing the good. You know what I mean? Because like it kind of makes like a fuel under you, because you're like, that's not my daily life. Like, that's not what it looks like. Like, I wake up and I see love every day, you know, and I want people to know that. Or like I see it within my own community, that a togetherness, and they're trying to, and sometimes unfortunately you see like, no, we're not together, but no, people see now, you know, we're
we always have been. In the elements, we've always been together too.
Yes, we have. And you know, art can be healing. I'll say that also, because right now, you know, everything going on, you kind of, at times you kind of have to like deassociate yourself and take a moment for your own mental health. And I've known, like, I've gone back to songs like Marvin Gaye, you know, like just like the old, like their songs still pertain to today. And that's sad, honestly. Like, it should have gotten better. But you take that and you go, they know how it feels. Or even songs from today and you go, they know how it feels, I'm not alone.
Yeah.
And I mean, how do you think you would want your music to like feel for everybody? How would you want your music portrayed?
I definitely would want that. I feel like that's all I've ever wanted for any song I've tried to write, is for people to heal. And especially now, I mean, the songs I've written lately, like every time I show somebody, I'm like, that's my only goal, is that you can heal from this. Because a lot of the songs I've been writing lately have been for Black people, have been for the Black community. I'm like, yo, we need to heal, because like you said, like what they show, sure, yeah, it's, you know, I feel like a lot of Black people, they see, especially I know my family, they'll see what's on the news and they'll be like, oh, like we need to stop this, like we need to, you know, fight against like Black lives being taken. But then my grandparents, like, they're retired, so they'll sit there and watch the news all day. And then my grandpa, you know, lived through civil rights and then burst into tears and is like, I didn't want this for y'all. So I'm like, I have to create art for you, for the Black people like you who are seeing this and then falling apart on the inside, because this is not the way we're supposed to live, right? This is not what we're supposed to see every day. We're not supposed to see people falling apart. We're not supposed to see lives taken for no reason. So yeah, that's all I ever want to do with my art. I feel like that's one of the main purposes of art, is to heal people.
Honestly, just heal the world. We actually have 2 questions from Greg Williamson. One is going to be, do you all think that mainstream society will morph or shift to accept Afrocentric or Black art in any medium?
Well, it is. I mean, it definitely is. You know what I'm saying? It's not like we've always been in the media. We've always been in the, like, we've always, well, shoot. I guess ask the question again, because I guess I'm thinking about entertainment.
Even in entertainment, you know, right now.
Yeah.
It's hard. Like, we've seen it in theater right now, or just representation in general. You know what I mean? It has to be there, or not making us the slave or the maid.
I'll say something really harsh, but I think it's going to be really important. 2017, I graduated school with my bachelor's degree, right? Musical theater, same as you guys, whoop-de-woo, right? Everyone was fiending for agents, right? Everyone was rushing, trying to get out and audition. And I remember saying, and I don't know why I said this, but I think it pertains also to why I moved to a place like Atlanta. I remember saying very clearly and like very seriously within my heart, I don't want to audition for white people right now. I don't want to do that. You know what I'm saying? Because what we do, especially for people as young as us, we give ourselves to an industry when we don't really understand ourselves, and then they allow us to kind of formulate our thoughts for ourselves. Granted, of course, we've all been raised by great parents, so we have some type of system, like some type of thought about ourselves, but where the media is right now isn't in the joyous part of Black representation. It isn't always in the most like, what's it called, exclusive or the most authentic way of Black representation. It's usually in a stereotype. And even when we do it to ourselves, sometimes it can still be a little caught in that web of, well, this is what they want to see. And I think it's also because of what's picked up. You know what I'm saying? Because we're all not doing it. But it's very hard for people to believe that we have other elements to ourselves besides pain. And I was already going through so much real personal pain that I wasn't in the mood to play the gay broken kid. I wasn't in the mood to play the gay person whose parents don't accept them. I wasn't in the mood to play the aggressive non-binary Black friend. I wasn't in the mood for any of that. And that's why I think, because no matter what, I can't help but create. So I'll make my own sound. You know what I'm saying? I'll make my own sound. So that's what I think a lot of Black people. Go ahead, Kade'sha.
No, you're fine. You can continue.
One more thought I was just gonna say, and I'm sorry for that. I was just gonna say, I think what a lot of Black people are learning is we are our own media. We are creating our own media now. We are now, and if you guys want to catch on, you're more than welcome to, but we can't keep outsourcing for help anymore because you skew our vision a little bit, and it's not fair.
Yes.
That's my point exactly. Yeah, that's my point exactly. My immediate answer to that question is no. But I think it depends on what side you're looking at it from. And what I mean by that is when Daisia said we've always been in the media, that's true. But we've always been in the media, but not as ourselves, because people continuously take our work and take credit for it. So it is ours, but it's just not us. People don't know it's ours. That's just how America runs. So will we always be in the media or mainstream? Yeah, as far as Afrocentric and all of that, but it'd be the same as like Taylor Swift and Katy Perry wearing like grills and stuff in their videos. So it's like, is it gonna be, is it gonna be like appropriated Afrocentric, or like at its purest form? I'm not really sure at its purest form unless it's coming from us. Because there's just no way around it. Like, it's no way around it. But I don't really care to be, I don't know. I feel like the less we care about being like, I think it's important in a sense to be mainstream, but the less we care about it and just start creating our own, the better it'll be, because we can see from years of examples and different artists, like even from Elvis Presley, not the founder of rock, and all these other people who have appropriated our culture and treated it as their own. It's like, that's proof that we're amazing. And if we just do our own thing, and create our own things and buy Black and all of that, the people will follow. You know what I mean? So creating our own stations or whatever it may be, just being us, people are going to follow that. So I'm not convinced that we'll ever be like number one, which is, by the way, not even what we're fighting for. We're just fighting to be seen as equal. So that's a thing. But but I just think, America is built on a hierarchy. So someone has to be number one. And unfortunately, that's not us. So I don't ever see that being, they might give us like, a little bit, but to make us to put a Band-Aid over the wound, maybe, but I don't think it's ever going to be how we would need it, because literally America was built on treating us worse than animals, which is why to this day, animals get treated with more sympathy when they pass away than us.
Yeah.
It was just built that way. So I don't know. I'm not convinced. Maybe somebody else can can feed into that and give me their perspective, but I'm not convinced that it will ever be even, just because America literally wasn't built on that.
Yeah. No, I feel that, but I also have hope for the next generation. You know what I mean? I feel like now that they have seen everything, because I feel like since social media plays such a big part and it's like in your face, because I feel like growing up, I had such an innocence. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I didn't have like a phone in my face or social media to like scan through. Like I could just go out of like and play. You know what I mean? So I feel like now that it's in their face and they're taking action, because I've also talked to, say, like my papa, right? Like he grew up, he was in the Vietnam War, like all that stuff. He can even see a difference because it's not just the same, like, oh yeah, that sucks, but we're not gonna, it's like gonna be a little thing and then pass. You know what I mean? The time and time again thing of it happens and it goes away and everybody just goes back to their daily lives and they just keep feeding into everything. But now people are actually waking up, the younger generations, and I'm praying that the young creatives, and we're young, so us too. Well, you know, we're not that old, but you know, that we'll do stuff that will pave the way for a better media and a better sound, and not one that is taken, you know, or molded into what they want or how they want to like fit you into the stereotype of this is how you should sound, this is how you're going to be a mainstream artist. Because there are so many, you know, mainstream artists that are, you know, reggae, like all this stuff. So I'm just like, they need to be seen. And unfortunately, the only platforms right now that are letting them do that are on their own, like Instagram or YouTube. Yeah. But the sad thing is, it's like, we got to find them too, you know, because that's another thing. They're hidden, you know, it's not that easy to go out and find a singer unless you like are really looking, you know, and that's the thing. I feel like we all need to build each other up as artists and share each other's stories and not just try to promote ourselves, you know, because I've definitely seen, yes, everybody's making music, but at the same time, it should be like, well, what music are you listening to? What are you hearing? What kind of things are you thinking that are good for everybody that needs to listen to? Because maybe at the end of the day, you hear a song, you're like, that hit me, that did a chord in me. But maybe somebody else needs to hear it. So why don't promote it on your story, on your feed? You know what I mean? So I feel like the community as a whole needs to just come together and help each other. So maybe we can all break out of that stereotype. And I'm not saying like, Kade'sha, I'm with you on the whole, I don't think it's ever gonna go away, or them trying to make you sound a certain way or the mainstream kind of portray you. But I'm hoping that we can fight back and take it back. You know what I mean? Take our own sound back.
Yeah. Well, I do want to clarify. I'm not saying that I'm not trying to sound like super negative, in the sense that like it's never going to change. Of course, we're going to see some change, and we already have, because we are protesting, because we are using our voices. So I do think that we will see some change, and just like, you know, we, you know, our I don't want to say ancestors, but because it wasn't that long ago, but, you know, like MLK and Malcolm X and Rosa Parks and all of these people before us, you know, fought for certain rights that we don't have to fight for today, as we are fighting for certain rights that we hope our next generations won't. I feel like it's always going to be something, though. I feel like it's always we're always going to be fighting for some kind of progressive change, because America was built on this. Like, I really don't. Like, that's the only reason why I say that. So of course I do think that we're going to see change. And I do hope that I hope for more positivity, and I hope for more progressive change with everyone. I hope that we are seen as equal. You know, of course I have hope, but I was just watching a Netflix documentary. I think it was a docuseries. The name is escaping me right now, but it was about the LA riots, and that wasn't that long ago. And it's happening over again. So my point in saying that is, I feel like we're going to do this And then years and years and years down the line, it's gonna happen again because everybody just goes back to their normal life. And I would hope that I hope that I'm wrong. I really do. I hope that I'm wrong. But this has happened so many times in history. But it's because it's in everyone's DNA. The things that we have to teach our kids, you know, like, well, if you get pulled over by police, do this, or because you're a Black man, be this way in the world, or because you're a Black woman, be this way in the world. You might receive this type of love inside your home, but outside in the world, you receive this type of love, and why that is. All these things that we have to teach our Black and brown kids, the exact opposite in some of the other houses are being taught to their kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know, all the resources that they have. Okay, so this is, if you ever get into trouble, this is how you get around this law, or call this person to do this, or, you know, there's so many things that are being taught to the next generation of white kids that is the opposite of what we're trying to teach our kids. So I feel like as much as like we're fighting for there to be change, the real change has to be in all white people who are watching this. The real change has to be for people who are not of color, white people, to use their voices. It's not up to us. We're not gonna get as far as we want to with just us. It's just not gonna happen because we didn't build this system. I mean, I don't know any other place that allowed a country to allowed people to build a whole country, but then deny them access to that same thing they built. Because it was us, unfortunately, we're just not going to see the change that we want unless it's done by the people who created that system.
Yeah, and that's true too, you know. And that's like a hard cycle, right? Like it's like a never-ending loop. We've seen it multiple times. Like just like in art, you know, we have those protest songs that we all know. You know, we have the Black National Anthem, and then there's those moments in time where it's like everything's going strong. But how do we keep going strong? I feel like that's where we all need to find that. That's gonna be like the littlest change. You know what I mean? It's the keep going and don't stop the momentum, you know. And I feel like art helps fuel that, you know what I mean, because you can keep creating art, you know what I mean. Like art is your experience, and you're experiencing something new every day. So I feel like as long as people keep creating and keep showing people like this is still happening, and it's not changing, and it's in your face, then at least something will maybe click in somebody's head, or maybe make them think a different way, or maybe, I don't know, think differently just about somebody that they know personally, because we all have those people who are like, I'm in this with you. I mean, yeah, you're my Black friend.
That's
you know? And then, but they don't get it. But they don't get it. And I've had those hard conversations where, like, you know, like Taylor, I even showed one of my friends your song that we're gonna play later on. But I showed him that, and then he finally got it. He finally, you know what I mean? Like something clicked in his head, like, oh, it's not just say their name. You know what I mean? It's not just a hashtag. You know, it's not just Breonna Taylor. You know, like she's a person.
Yeah.
And sometimes maybe hearing it through a creative way makes them think, you know what I mean? And the words that are said make them actually like realize like, oh, I need to look inside myself, because I'm just like hashtagging on Instagram, like say their name, say her name, but they don't really think of the person behind that name.
Yeah. I was gonna say, I feel like that's like, you know, we were just previously talking about, you know, is art meant to heal? You know, I feel like that's the other side. I feel like art is also meant to convince and to open hearts, you know, and open minds a little bit. It's funny that you talked about that with your friend, because I was talking to my girlfriend, and I was telling her, you know, I really feel like I need I feel like we need the art that we make to pierce this bubble, to pierce this, this echo chamber in which we create our art. And when we put it out on social media, I feel like you can't just, it'll bounce around, it'll bounce around that bubble that we're in, right, on social media. But it's going to make real change if it like pierces that and it gets to somebody who wouldn't necessarily always hear that, who wouldn't necessarily always see that art. And then, and I was just recently dealing with this because on YouTube, some random point, and I knew it was going to happen eventually, but all these people just started commenting. I got like 150 comments on my video that was like, F you, like, this is ridiculous, like, this must be a parody, is this a joke, like, this song is crazy. And I was like, whoa, where'd you all come from at the same time? And and they kept bringing up they kept commenting this link of a different video, and I clicked the link, and there's this white man who re-uploaded my song and just made all these racist comments about it. And he was making fun of me, he's making fun of Black people, and I was like, whoa. And I just realized, I was like, this is the other side. This is why we make this art, because there's a whole nother America out there of all these white people that we don't even see, because in social media, we're in a bubble. We are in a bubble of all these people that, yeah, and it's great because there are so many people that support us, but on the other side, there's a whole nother America. And that's why we create that art. So it pierces that bubble. And I mean, the video is gone. I low-key wish it was still up so people could see it, but it's gone because a bunch of people reported it, and the whole channel got taken down.
His channel, though, right?
Yeah, his channel. His channel got taken down.
Not your channel.
Yeah. But it was crazy because this man, like, he made videos about everybody. He was making videos about Beyonce, and I was like, why are you gonna call Beyonce? You about to get sued. Like, you can't do that.
The beehive gonna come for you,
right? And it was crazy. And I was seeing all these comments on all these videos, and people were like talking about Black people like crazy. And I was like, there's a whole nother America out there that people don't even notice. And kind of on the, and a little bit on the same token, what you were saying, Kade'sha, is like, you can't, white people got to understand, like, it's not we really can't do a lot other than keep producing art and keep convincing you of what's really happening, keep opening your eyes so that you really understand what we're going through. And then on the next side, you got to say something to all the other white people in that other America over there that aren't even seeing what we're saying. Because we know you know them, and we know you talk to some of them, and you got to convince them of what we're trying to convince you, Yeah.
I agree with that. I was raised in church. I always say born and raised in church, because to say that I was raised in church is an understatement. Anyways, I was born and raised in church, and I always had a phrase like told to me, you might be the only Bible that someone reads. And I think that's very important for art because of exactly what Taylor was saying. Because like I said before, there's a whole nother world out there that is being taught exactly this behavior, that is being fed everything that we're trying to teach our kids, like, against, and that is what America was built on. And so once we keep creating, just keep creating, I think the importance of that is to eventually pierce through that bubble and get enough people who are allies. I love Amanda Seales. If you don't know who she is, look her up. But she always says there are white people and people who happen to be white. And the people who happen to be white are allies. And they're people who literally they're just white, but they are a believer of people and the human race. And no white person will ever fully understand what we go through. It's impossible. But they sympathize and they educate themselves. And then they use their position, they use their privilege to speak out for us, because we're not invited in a lot of these places where, the things that Taylor was talking about happened. If you also haven't, there's a docuseries on on Netflix as well called The Family. And it's about just a bunch of like older white men who designed this group. It's a cult for like other white men I know. Yeah, they designed this like cult for other white men, and they portray it as like a Christian group. So they make the boys think that it's like this Christian group, and that they're just devoting their life to God to become a better leader, but it's really pushing the agenda of white men being on the top and controlling everything. So it's just it's just like they continue like push these young white kids and feed like Christianity into them, like, oh, this is for God, this is my calling in life. I didn't get through the whole thing, but I watched enough episodes to know like this is the other side, you know. And I feel like we just have to keep going until we push through those bubbles. But I also think that's why it's important for us to talk about mental health in the Black communities and the Black and brown communities, because there's going to be times where we got to tag team, like tag your it because I'm tired. And then you go in and you fight and you push, and then by the time you get done, we can tag back, you know, because there's no way that you can see all of these videos. There's no way that you can like use your voice and be out protesting and doing all of this stuff and not get worn out, you know, and then also not get to your mind. There's certain things that you just might have to censor yourself from, like, oh, I can't watch the videos today, or I'm going to have to take a little fast from social media because all I'm seeing are these videos, you know? So I think the topic of mental health, which is such a taboo in the Black community, is very important because we need each other. You know, we need each other to be able to tag each other in this race, because it is a marathon, not a sprint. And I think there's a lot of change that we can see, but there's so much to expose that I just don't think it's going to happen in our lifetime. It didn't happen with our grandparents or their grandparents or their grandparents or their grandparents, who were slaves, by the way. So really slavery wasn't that long ago, but I do have hope that we can continue. But I also think that's why it's important to talk about things like gentrification as well, because we don't have any more secret spaces, you know. Black people and people of color need safe spaces. We need spaces to where we can go and just be our full, unapologetic Black selves, and that be okay. And that just be for us. But all of these places are being gentrified because they're trying to help us get better and look nicer, and it's just pushing out all the people who can't afford to live there anymore. And I think it's, I don't know. Maybe someone asked me the other day, do I think that we were too premature as a whole for segregation? Or
Desegregation,
yeah. And I think so. But I would love to know what you guys think about that, because I think that my friend who's Ethiopian, she was my best friend. She was born in Oakland, born and raised in Oakland, but she's first generation Ethiopian, which is in Africa, if you didn't know that. And she asked me that, and she was like, just think about it. If we were still segregated, would you have that much of a different life? Meaning, have white people, or they like to split up. So even if you're like Irish or whatever, you're still white. So have your friends, I have plenty of like white friends and people who aren't of color, have they changed your life so much that your life would be so different? And I said no, but I think that their lives would be so much different because our culture has influenced their life so much. So I think they need us, because not the other way around. And I think once we realize that as well, it'll be a different ballgame. But I would love to know what you guys think about that question.
I think there would be more hate in the world. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think people would be as like, not to say obviously we're not even like close to everybody being loving, but you know what I mean? Like the people that I've worked with who happen to be white, they're amazing human beings. But the thing is, if they were living in that world, would we be friends? Would we, you know what I mean? Like it would be so different. I don't think we would be able to come together because they would still be in that kind of household where maybe their parents didn't meet somebody of color or get that kind of, you know, understanding.
Yeah.
And also because I'm from a mixed household, like, would I even be here? You know, like,
no, probably not.
Probably not.
Probably
So,
not.
I mean, so it's different, you know what I mean? So I feel like it needed to obviously happen. And I don't think it happened too early because, you know, when is even too early?
Yeah.
You know, it needed to happen. It needed to happen a long time ago because even though, yes, people say we have our rights, we don't have them really, all of them. You know, they might not get it in the sense they're like, but you can vote. But yeah, I can't walk down the street and go get some Skittles. You know what I mean?
But even though we can vote, like they change those numbers anyway. So it's like, can I?
Right. But the thing is, those are the comebacks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
And you have to combat that and be like, well, you got to lay it all down.
I think the bigger picture though too sometimes is like, obviously not the question of, well, should we ever have been segregated or anything like that, but like taking it bigger than having friendships or meeting your favorite interracial partner or being able to, that's probably about it because everything else we invented. You see what I'm saying? Hockey, whatever other white thing there is, it came from us first. And I think that's more so why we needed to stay segregated to someone like me, because now, unfortunately, and I mean, but also, and I get what you're saying, Jodi, because if we were to stay segregated, it would have been very dangerous. There wouldn't be the type of people there are right now. I'll tell you that right now. We wouldn't be able to, we all would have like militant vibes about us. We all would know how to survive no matter what. You know what I'm saying? We all would know probably how to go ahead and eliminate somebody if we had to, because that's now our with and or without type of survival. But I think that kind of edge can kind of come now because it's time to warrant that anyways. You see what I'm saying? But before then, I think what was really, really, really important about staying segregated is the Black person being able to have time to elevate our mind. We didn't get 400 years on American soil of financial evolution. We didn't get 400 years on American soil of just like a system that is cultivated to help us out. So imagine if we stayed segregated, and though in Tulsa, Oklahoma, Black Wall Street got burned down, that didn't really, that was scary, sure, but it's not like Black people didn't try to do that again. The only difference was desegregation happened. So then we just were able to split into other places. But imagine if we stayed segregated, Wakanda would be a thing. You see what I'm saying? Whatever, and it wouldn't be in the sense of vibranium or bright colors or anything like that, but it's a mindset. It's a mindset. We don't, a lot of us do now because I know my parents gave it to me way before my mom even, because I'm from an interracial household too, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like my stepdad was white too. But what I will also say is before that happened, I was able to see within my family, because they're from the South and they stayed in Malvern, Arkansas, how important it is to make sure you dig your heels and you dig your roots into yourself first and what you know. And it's unfortunate that because of segregation, a few generations kind of lost that. And sometimes we don't know why, because sometimes like I said, every slave wasn't the one trying to hoorah out of your summer snitching. You know what I'm saying? So there's kind of an aspect of that too. Like it all depends on your mindset. I don't think there's a right or wrong answer about that. I just think it's about how would you react if you got it to be your way? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I feel like when you said like somewhere, you know, like we're snitching, I feel like it's survival. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of it came down to, maybe because you said like how generations maybe weren't digging their heels in the culture. It was probably, again, survival instincts. Like it was like, act white, you know? Don't.
There was a whole generation after like civil rights where like for like 5-10 years, a lot of Black girls were getting born with like white names, you know, so they could seem more passable on resumes. So people were trying.
Jodi,
my mother, yeah. That's the thing my mother talked to me about too, because like me and my sister, a lot of my younger cousins have very African origin names. My mother's name is Christy. And we and my sister one day were like, wait, why is your name Christy? My mom genuinely, because she's again from Malvern, Arkansas, you know, had to tell us that like, look, in the 70s, you wanted to seem as passing or whatever as possible, right? So on paper, it's about being good on paper, you know?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, having a white sounding name has definitely got me in more doors than it would have.
I know.
Like, let's be real, on the phone interviews, I go in for an actual interview, they're like, "You're Jodi?" I'm like, "Yes, I am. Hi. I'm ready for this interview."
Thank you.
But you know what I mean? Like, and you're right, it gets you in the door. And unfortunately, parents of color have to think that way at times.
Yeah.
And it sucks because other people don't have to think about their kid's name down the line, like giving them job opportunities or how they're viewed in a certain way.
Mm.
And it's the world we live in, and hopefully, you know, when we all have kids and stuff, we can be like, nope, they getting a black name today. You know, like I don't know.
My kids are definitely getting black names.
Just say, yup.
For sure.
Okay.
For sure.
No, but you know, and hopefully, you know, the generation after us and even right now are just absorbing art, you know, in a way that they're just soaking it all up and not maybe like passing over it. Cause I definitely know that, like, yes, I grew up with, you know, like grandparents that obviously knew of like Black artists, like Marvin Gaye, The Temptations, like all that stuff. But I don't think I ever absorbed their messages until it was like pertaining to my life, like now.
Yeah.
And I hope that they listen, you know, and it's not like how we were growing up and I was like, oh, that's a nice song. But I don't get it. You don't, like you say you get it, but you don't get it.
Yeah.
And yeah, I hope that art will be an outlet for the new generation. And I hope people that are maybe might be scared will just come and start doing it right now. Like if somebody came up to you and said, I have a song I'm sitting on, or I have a project I'm sitting on, and I am terrified of what people will think. Like Taylor said, how, you know, you got those comments. How as an artist do you push through those comments of hate?
Yo, honestly, the first time I read those comments, it was really difficult. Like even to the point where I'm like, my girlfriend was like, "Don't read them." I was like, "Okay." I mean, I guess like I don't know why I was going back to this, but Beyonce probably doesn't read her comments. I always think like, what would Beyonce do? But
She laughs at comments.
Yeah, I feel like whatever she does is probably the right thing. I don't know. She's still here. She's doing the thing. But then I read a couple of them and I was like, oh, so that was first of all super difficult for me. Yeah, because they said they out there saying some pretty nasty stuff. But I think if another artist was like, yo, how would I get past that? Like, I'm afraid of that. I would tell them, you know, it's gonna happen. Like, it's gonna happen. But I guess this is what I would say. For all those people who are probably gonna hate what you do, hate what you say, there's gonna be a handful of those people that are gonna change their mind. There's gonna be a handful of those people who are still gonna listen to the song. Because out of all those comments, I kid you not, I went to that guy's video with all those bad comments and I read them. There's about 1,236 comments. I will remember that number for the rest of my life. And I read all those comments. A good maybe 50 to 100 were people saying, I kind of get what he's talking about though. Or they were like, he has really good voice. The song's not actually that bad. And I went, you listen to the song. You listen to the whole song.
Mm-hmm.
You know? And so I'm like, the people aren't going to always agree with you people aren't always gonna care what you have to say, but it's either you put the song out there and you actually change at least one person's mind, and that one person ends up helping you change everybody else's mind, or you don't put it out there and nothing happens. And then you're gonna say, I wish I woulda, shoulda, coulda, woulda. That's what my mom used to tell me. Shoulda, coulda, woulda, didn't. You know?
Yeah.
But if you do it, there's that one person, right?
Just one. That's very good though. You know, I guess I thought about it, but you never really like think about this one person can also affect their small group, and then somebody from their small group can affect their small group. And that's what art does, right? It opens up speaking points. It opens up the conversation. Maybe somebody didn't have the guts to open up this conversation, but through art, they were like, hey, look at this video. Look what he's saying. And then if somebody disagrees, they're like, okay, let's have a discussion. Let's talk about it. You know, why do you disagree? Why don't you see the same points? And, you know, talk to me, have an open, honest conversation, because I know so many times in my life I've been in those situations where I've been with friends and like scared to say my opinions. Now, growing up, you know, you realize like you can't do that for anybody. You know, you have to speak your truth, and if they don't like it, maybe they're not supposed to be there in your life. You know, and maybe this opens up those doors for other people. Maybe to, you know, maybe to even get closer with somebody and be like, oh, I didn't know you were going through that. Or, oh, I didn't know that was your experience. Like, share their stories, you know, for the people that aren't here anymore, like George Floyd, Breonna Taylor. You know, art can be a voice for them as well when, you know, they're not here for themselves. And I feel like that's why art is so powerful, because it can change minds, and it can create maybe a different sense, or pop that person's bubble, I guess, in a sense, you know. But we actually have a question from Greg Williamson. It says, is Black art celebrated / embraced in the queer / LGBTQIA community without fetishizing, you know what I mean, girl.
Yeah.
Thank you.
No, it is not. And that's what I can't cuss, but so tired of, dude. Like, and I wish I was kidding, but it's like, no, it's not. And I wish there was an example other than all of the examples I've ever had in my life, but it's like, no. And it's so unfair because gay people have fought a civil rights fight, right? Gay people also know oppression, and they have the nerve to sit there and also decide to oppress a different group at the same time, while they have the nerve to scream about pride all day long. You know what I'm saying? Atlanta genuinely has its own Black pride and like its own regular pride. And I love that. And I love that. And I love that because I saw so many times in Los Angeles how white WeHo is a whole different world than what Black New York underground gay is. How they treat it's so prevalent, even if you think about some of the professors we've had who have been queer. They mock us. They don't even do it right. It's not appropriation, it's literally a mockery. You know what I'm saying? It's a mockery of what sounds cool and what sounds entertaining and what was funny. You know what I'm saying? But that's genuinely probably someone's just real personality. That's probably genuinely someone's just real element of joy and Black joy that they don't understand because it took them so long to figure out within themselves, and it gets taken from us all the time. And I'm so passionate about that question, and the answer is no. You guys do not leave us alone when it comes to that, because so many white queer artists get to adopt personalities off of underground Black artists who have been fighting for years, and they get to make it to the top off of adopting someone else's brand, and it is not fair. It is not fair, and it is not fair. And it's probably one of the, I think sometimes that's a little more of a disrespect than like a straight white person being disrespectful to me, because you're begging for something too, bro. You're begging for something too, and then you have the nerve to get what you want and take some more. Huh. You know what I mean? It's hard. But that's why I do what I do.
Yeah, yes, you do.
Yeah.
Yes, you do. And so can you elaborate on that, like your events and everything?
Yeah, so what we do we literally like genuinely put on showcases once a week where we make sure our lineup is only queer people of color, or at least queer people. You know what I'm saying? And if they're not people of color, they're definitely allies, not just anybody. You know what I'm saying? And what it is giving people a safe place. What's so interesting is though queer people are accessible, just like remember like how there was always token white people, there's kind of now, I mean token black people, now there's token gay people. We're not still like as frivolously invited into the industry as like the industry likes to make it. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes there's one too many gay people, and now you can't say anything around the queers because it might be too fragile of a situation. So what we try our best to do is make sure this is your gymnasium, because obviously your goal, everyone's goal should be to get to higher levels every time. But like a gymnasium for queer people to understand that what they have is special and what they have is allowed to be shared to the world. But if you want to workshop it through other queer artists first, that's okay. You know what I'm saying? To feel safe about what you're doing. But the whole goal is genuinely to create a safe place for queer people to perform, because I've even noticed it's two different audiences when I decide to be my masculine presenting self in front of gay people and decide to be my masculine presenting self in front of a bunch of straight people, black or white. You know what I'm saying? That's still a whole fight in its own too. So we try our best to make sure for this day, for this part of your career, you have a safe place to go balls to the wall, you know?
Be yourself.
Yeah, always.
You know?
Always. Yeah.
And that's important though, to give them like that space as artists to be themselves, because maybe they were scared to do that in another setting, and now they're going to be like, you know what, I did it once, I can do it again.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. Exactly. The gym training.
Yep, exactly. They do. Oh, I love that. You know, there's always that point in your life as an artist where you're scared and then you do something and then you're like, oh, I'm fearless.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? It's like that one little thing, like you put yourself out there and you're like, why didn't I ever do that before? Like, why was I too scared to do like the simplest thing? It's like, oh, okay, somebody might not like it, but it's not meant for everybody.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not, as an artist, I'm not here to please you. Like, I'm here to please myself and to please my soul and to, you know, create what I want to create. And if you like it, I love that. If you don't like it, pass it along. Maybe somebody else needs it, and you know,
Yeah.
that's the thing. But we also have another question from John Peterson. As a theater company, a platform for people to use their voices, what can we do to help continue to serve as a catalyst for the change?
Hire more Black people and people of color.
And it's also hire them when it's not The Color Purple or Aida, but hire them all the time. And make sure you also hire them when you're trying to do something interracially funky, so we can help you not be racist.
Yes, and hire them not even just for like an entertainment purpose. Hire them to direct things. Hire them to assist like in the background, like, you know, and put them in positions of power. Don't just hire them as an assistant and then as an assistant all they do is go get your coffee and your lunch. Like, have them really organize things. And yeah, I think that we need to see more people of color, Black or not, just people of color in general, in specifically in entertainment, in positions that like the topic doesn't have anything to do with race. So like Daisia just said, like something other than The Color Purple, or anything that's Black, or like Hairspray, that's obviously something that's like Black on white. But it's when it's just a general story, like anybody could be cast as this. Anybody cast a person of color, and that will change the narrative. It'll be great. It shows people of color need to be shown in a different light. People of color need to be shown doing something that has nothing to do with their skin, just living. Like, I just want to live. I just want to share a story about, I mean, white people do it all the time. There are movies about people going to get a dog and then they train the dog and the dog talks. Why can't that be a Black person? Like, the story is about nothing, but I like dogs, so why can't that be a Black person? You know, like that's a weird, like, you know, little that's a weird example, but like it happens all the time. Like there's so many movies and stories and plots that what are we talking about?
Yeah, just to piggyback off of what Kade'sha's saying, it's like, just give us, like Issa Rae said, I wanted to play normal. I wanted to play boring because everyone else kept giving me a character. But also to answer Mr. Peterson's question, also bigger than, again, the actor, just allow people of color, brown or black, to have an opinion, bro. Allow us to also speak on something. Like, allow us to be in the room, the writer's room, the creative direction room, and not just as a fly on the wall to make sure you're not racist, but to genuinely help cultivate the project you are trying to do. You know what I'm saying? I think that's more so important. It's like, let our hands be in the pot too, and let us really put our hands in the pot too, so we can. Because really, when you get two minds together, black or white, and something is supposed to happen that's supposed to be powerful, it'll happen. But if you keep neglecting a hand and you don't let it get into the pot, that's why you keep having mundane, excuse my abbreviation, BS, that now you keep asking yourself, how do I be better? How do I be better? You should have let me put my hand in the pot in the first place. You would have to ask this question. Because we've been knocking on the door for so long. We've been knocking on the door for so long. And it's just like, all you have to do, Mr. Peterson, is you and your company just have to listen. You just have to listen. And make sure you don't ask the question on Black History Month or Juneteenth, but ask the question on Christmas. Ask the question on Thanksgiving when it really matters. You know what I'm saying? That's how I think it's to be helpful.
Yeah. Don't let there be like a token Black person. There shouldn't be a token anything. There's no tokens. We don't want any tokens.
Equal numbers.
Yeah. It's not just about Black people either. Just any person of color. Like anybody
who you're not used to. It doesn't even have to be a person of color. If you're American, why don't you get somebody from France who's straight out of the land of freaking France, so you can understand something different, bigger than you. That's all it ever really is. And I think that's the problem. People stick to what they're used to so much that they forget there's a whole diaspora of just different types of Black people, different types of ethnicities, different types of you. You know what I'm saying? But you're deciding to stay in your pocket about what you're used to. And that's kind of why theater companies have to ask themselves these questions, because you keep looking in the mirror instead of reading a book or something. I don't know. You know.
And I think theater companies in general need to be diverse, not just with the Black community, but with everybody. Because like you said, Kade'sha, there doesn't need to be a token anything.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? There doesn't need to be just, or the stereotypical, like, this culture plays this part. Because it's like, the Black girls, we're always the sassy one. You know, we're always, or like, I don't know why Black people are mostly like the jokester, you know what I mean? Or like the comedic relief.
The comic relief.
Yes. And I'm just like, but why can't a Black person be serious? Why can't a Black person be the intelligent one in the group and not just the goofy one? Like, you know, why does it always have to be? Just
like the extra with just one line who doesn't have really any personality. They're just happy to be there and they're pretty.
Right. Right. You know? Yeah. And why base your casting on that? Why can't you just base your casting on talent?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If somebody
I know the answer.
Huh?
I said, I know the answer, because we keep saying why. You got to pay attention to when entertainment was made, the Great Depression, right? It was a great time to distract people, distract from the status quo, distract from the hard time we're having now. Like right now, the conversation we're having. Also within this form of art, if you don't do it correctly, it can be just a distraction, right? So now everyone in that time was aware of what we were capable of, but also wanted to not give us our credit, wanted to mask, the situation we had going on. So it's just like, I don't even know what I was trying to get on because I got excited, but it's just like paying attention to the patterns, paying attention to like every culture won't admit, but they'll know that they saw something, they liked it, and they took it. Instead of seeing something, liking it, and involving us. You see what I'm saying? There's a huge difference between involving and taking. There's a huge difference from admiration and appropriation. So that's, I think, what also companies need to understand is like, it's not about, like Jersey Mike's, it's not about changing your BLT to a BLM. It's about making sure you're managers, making sure your employees know how to speak to people when there's a disagreement. Because every time people are usually cool, but just usually when there's that one disagreement, now I'm an N-word all of a sudden. But we were just hanging out outside 2 weeks ago.
Whoa.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So it's like it's bigger than the sandwich. It's bigger than the color purple you decide to put on once a month. It's about taking an initiative and not being performative, but being genuinely deciding to take a spiritual trip to change all of your chakras to be a better person. It's really not about, all of this is going to align to how you think about yourself and how you think about others at the end of the day. And if you're a bad person, you're not going to get it. Your theater company is not going to get it. Your shoe line is not going to get it. You know what I'm saying? Because if you're a bad person and you can't get out of the idea of what you've been taught so much to see a bigger picture, then it's not about what we can give you in your theater company. It's about what you need to change in your heart to be a better theater company.
And if you don't mind me adding something right before, my apologies, but I do want to emphasize, educate yourself. Don't let it be the Black person's job to educate you on Black issues. Like, don't let the Black person be there to educate you on that, you know? Educate yourself. It's so easy. We had to educate ourselves on our own history. So if we can do that, then please, it's simple. Just educate and listen. Educate and listen. That's it. Educate and listen, and you'll be fine.
Yeah, educate. That's the big one. So we have a question from J. Iman. He says, how do you all feel about white screen actors and voice actors stepping down from their roles to make space for Black artists? Is it helpful, and should other allies do the same?
Let me tell you something, if you guys don't mind, because I'm so passionate about this. That is not the freaking point, bro. Again, why was art made? To distract. We don't care about voiceovers. I swear to God, what's her name? Missy on Big Mouth was a biracial character. The white woman could have stayed. What we need to worry about is the government. We're not worried about y'all's cartoons or our cartoons, bro. We understand it's an illusion. I'm so passionate about this because, one, I love Big Mouth and I don't care that a white woman did it. But what I do care about is how they treat me when I go outside and decide to step outside of my illusion. I don't care about the cartoon. That's honestly an insult. Jenna Marbles deciding to quit her YouTube channel instead of talking about it. That's a victim mindset. You guys are being victims.
Yes.
You're deciding to quit instead of deciding to talk about it. We don't care about the cartoon. We care about the government who decides to kneel on our back every day. We enjoy the cartoons. We enjoy the YouTube channels as long as we don't get too disrespectful. But what we don't like is that we have to go outside and step out of an illusion that does not give a crap about us. So again, Jersey Mike's, Big Mouth, Jenna Marbles, you all are making performative actions and not real actions. That's performative. Stepping down as a Black voiceover, it's nice, but they already could have hired Cree Summers if they wanted to. They knew that. But
and there should be more Cree Summers, by the way. It shouldn't just be Cree Summers, which love Cree Summers, but
don't get me wrong. Of course, always hire more Black voiceovers, but what it is, it's bigger than that. Because if the show was already 4 seasons deep, make a whole episode where the Black character is the main character for the episode and talk about what's going on. Stop quitting when you could be making a movement to make it better. That's what drives me up the wall. People decide to quit and remove themselves from something instead of use that same exact voice that we all, even Black people, fell in love with to just do something better. Help us with this fight.
That's where I have a problem with it too, because when they announce it, it's kind of like I'm gifting this to you. Instead of I'm using my platform as a way of speaking out. Like I'm this character and this is how I feel, instead of it, because it feels like I'm gifting Black actors this.
Like, what are you talking about?
I'm gifting you a chance to be a voice actor. Like, that's how it feels. Like, it feels more like a PR stunt, to be honest.
Yes.
Than like a genuine, you know what I mean? Because they do have those platforms. They have those listeners. They have people watching them. So why can't you use your voice instead of just saying I'm stepping down?
Yeah.
I think the problem for me is that these people genuinely think that they're helping. And I think that's the bigger issue. And I think that's the reason why white people need to educate themselves and they need to listen, because we've been saying things like this for, I don't know, as long as we've been here. And I think that if people would just stop for a minute and just listen to what it is that we're asking for, then there really wouldn't be an issue, because the actor who played Cleveland decided to do the same thing. Yeah. And I was just like, oh my God, I just drew Cleveland on the jacket. Like I freaking love Cleveland. Like, no, but it would be dope if they decide to, because they talk about, in these shows, they talk about so many topics, but instead of like picking on Whitney Houston when she dies about her drug habit, why don't we take that and put it towards something positive for the Black community? There's so many different examples where that happens, where like Black people are still being portrayed as these jokes, and it's not only offensive, but it's just really ignorant. And I feel like there's a thin line between like comedy and like it's not really funny, and those jokes, those shows kind of ride that line. But I feel like if these producers, directors, these actors, voiceover actors would use their platform, like you said, and listen to us, it's just, everybody needs to just, whoever's listening to this, if you're not Black, if you're not a person of color, listen and educate. And educate.
Yeah, it's just unfortunate that like white people's form of sympathy and or empathy is in currency. Right? It's not in real value of self. It's not in real desire to change ideology. Like, again, and I'm not trying to front on the person who asked that question, but instead of because if you have to ask the question, how does my theater company become a little more better at whatever involving Black people, you might need to ask, how do I? How do I? So it's not about your business. Again, it's not about your currency. It's about you. It's about you. To contrary belief, Black people have enough money. We got money. We have bread, bro. It's not shown on TV, but it's there. You see what I'm saying? And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to change it into that kind of conversation. But what I will say is, it's unfortunate that white people's form of empathy / sympathy is in currency. Make it about your heart and about yourself, and then it won't be about you playing a cartoon character. It'll just be about making sure when everyone gets on the same page, they write an episode about how everyone can be better throughout the next season of the show. You know what I'm saying? It's not about again, Jersey Mike's changing their BLT to a BLM because they put a hyphen over Mado. No, it's about making sure your hiring process is a little different in rural areas like the South. You know what I'm saying? It's like, it's not about the currency. It's about it's just literally about frequency. It's about how you decide to make sure your heart beats within this movement. And it's unfortunate that a lot of these white businesses are thinking with their wallet.
Yeah.
And it's also just as disrespectful.
I was going to say, first of all, I had no idea that Jersey Mike's changed their sandwich to a BLM. That is ridiculous. Mado?
Yeah.
Mado. Mm-hmm. Get out of here. Second of all, yeah, I agree with everything everybody said, because one of the things that really made me mad was this new show Central Park it's like on Apple TV or something, and Kristen Bell plays a mixed character, a daughter of the actor Leslie Odom Jr. and some other actors, a Black man, husband, a Black dad, thank you, a Black dad and a white mom, and there's two mixed kids, and Titus plays the son and Kristen Bell plays the daughter.
Hold on, I love Titus. I'm sorry, what show is this?
It's called Central Park. You better watch it. It's hilarious.
It's a new one.
Okay.
Titus plays the son, and he's the funniest person to the show.
I'm sorry to cut you off, Taylor.
It's fine. It's fine. You should watch it. I'll plug that all day. But Kristen Bell stepped down, and she was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna do this anymore." I'm like, y'all could have just had that conversation on the show. This is a mixed child.
It's a mixed
Black, white child. You are a white woman. Have the conversation. Have this dialogue on the show. The show already started. I mean, you might as well just keep going.
Keep it going, yes.
But that's the
I
thing.
think-
It's like, why does this make them start thinking about it when they were offered the role?
Because they're already racist. Everyone is showing their racism right now, bro.
Yes.
And it's so
Yes.
freaking funny because if you're not racist, you don't have to quit anything. If you're not racist, you don't have to feel like anything. Because again, if again, like say I'm a white person.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a white person. Kristen Bell decides to quit my show. I'd be like, no, Kristen, I'm so happy you're concerned about this. Let's write a show. Quitting is a victim mindset. Quitting is a victim mindset. When you quit, you know you're in trouble. You see what I'm saying? When you quit, you know that you're not gonna like the outcome of what's about to happen. When you quit, you know you're not gonna be able to bounce back from what's about to happen, so you decide to move from it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Same, it's like I think everyone is literally showing their racism rather than defending racism as a whole right now. And thank you. Move out of the way. If that's how it's gonna be, thank you. Move out of the way.
Yeah.
But it's like stepping down from something instead of changing the narrative is not the point. It's not the point. That's not what we're asking for. We're not asking you to quit anything you're doing. We're not asking you to give it to us. We're just asking you to have the conversation because these people don't realize how big their platform is. Some of these people have some of the biggest platforms in the world. Please just make a special edition. Everyone should be doing special edition episodes right now, not quitting.
Yeah.
Everyone needs to be back on Netflix, back on Amazon, get off of their little quarantine break and make special edition episodes so their white audiences can start talking rather than quitting and being like, instead, I'll just not do that. Let me just not do anything black. That's not the point. Yeah.
The community through art. So what do they need to do? Use their voice.
Use their voice, bro.
There you go. That's the thing.
I think it does reflect how people actually already feel. And I think that's important to highlight because if you was really about it, you would have the conversation. But because conversation makes you extremely uncomfortable for whatever reason, I don't know why, maybe because we're going to see actually who you are and you don't want that, then you're going to quit. But I don't know, like all of these companies, like when I was watching Netflix, they decided to have a Black Lives Matter channel or whatever, and they suggested that I go to it, and I was like, but I want to watch this, like I don't. And then I looked through it, and it was like it was all like literal like Black Lives Matter stuff. It was like literal. It was just like, I don't want to be sad today. I want to watch a comedy. Can I go watch a comedy? Like I don't. It's somewhat similar to like today when I was looking at like vendors for culture trends for clothes, and I was like, you know what, I really want to have I want my website to have all sizes. I don't want there to be a specific plus size section. Like I want you to go to whatever article of clothing that you want, and then it just has all of the sizes, because I'm tired of going to stores and I have to go to this one baby section over here in the back for plus size or for whatever size that I want to wear. And that's it. But then everybody else has the whole store. And I was like, it's kind of similar to that. It's like, we don't want this little section. We don't want this little corner in your brand or whatever, because that's not what we're fighting for. Like, we just want to be there. And we're just saying that we're not there. We're not represented fairly. And if we can get that through people's head, then I think we'll be able to see actual change, and maybe the first statement that I make will actually change. Do I have hope that we can do that? Yeah, because I'm an optimistic person. Do I think that it's gonna happen in my lifetime? I don't know. We'll see.
But I agree. It's not like, I feel like Hulu, Disney, Netflix, everyone is like, here's the black section. Wasn't that the problem in the first place? We had a black bathroom, now we got a black movie section. It's like, what? Bro, you're showing your app.
But that's the thing, they're missing the point. They're just doing it to appease an audience.
It's because now it's like I said, white people do not have empathy or sympathy till it affects currency. It's a trend now at this point, because again, if everybody loves Disney Plus, but now that every black person is mad, let me make sure they see Black Panther as soon as they get on here, because we love them. We care about them. No, instead, Mr. Disney, why don't you let a little more Black artists, a little more Black illustrators, a little more Black voiceover people in your office. That's all we care about. We know there's Black movies. We know the names of them. We'll look them up ourselves. We got that part. But what I want to see in the credits is Kade'sha. What I want to see in the credits is Taylor. What I want to see in the credits is Jodi. You see what I'm saying? That's what we want to see. We get, it's everything right now is like a cute little blanket of like BLM. Everything is dressed very nice and BLM and has a nice ribbon. But when you get down to the core of it, it's still the same. It's still the same BS.
But you brought up currency earlier, and because white people only speak currency, they're letting us know that by saying like, oh, we're going to give you a section, or we're going to try to give you what we want because we can't survive without the Black dollar. We all know this. So that's really what the agenda is. If we were all to leave and not support these companies, they would not survive without the Black dollar, period. Like America would not run the way that it is without the Black dollar. So if all of us know that, like, we need to get that, because then we'll just pump out more of our own stuff. But I think that's really the problem and what they're worried about, and the reason why they're trying to do this. They don't really care. They don't really care, because if they cared, this would have been done a long time ago. These are the same conversations that my parents had, that their parents had, that their parents had for centuries, like literally for centuries. So they don't care. Like, they know that this is going on. They're the ones who started it. So like, they know, they absolutely know. They just need our dollar. That's it.
And now we just need to be more aware where our dollar goes to.
Exactly.
Support the Black businesses.
Exactly.
Don't feed into, because people don't realize that for every white business, there's a Black business that has the exact same thing. And it might be even a better product, but you just didn't research it.
And it might be really close to you. And it might be your friend. And it might be your friend. Like, and I think that's what people are really having a hard time with understanding, because we're so used to seeing a business branded in such a certain way, organized in such a certain way. But like, if you need a resource, I'm sure someone in your Black neighborhood has access to that too. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah.
All right, I'm seeing the time, and we still have to play all of your music and stuff. So everybody, we do have a treat for you this episode. These amazing artists were actually kind enough to lend us their material, and we are actually gonna show it to you. So I'm so excited. Please listen and learn. Don't just have it as your background, okay? Take the time to actually watch it and, pass it along. And I'm gonna make sure that I'll put something in the Facebook for all of their Instagrams, and so where you can keep following them, because they're creating every day. And I think you need to watch them, and they're educating, all three of them, and they're doing an amazing job for the community through their art and through their voice and using their platform. So I really, and I admire all of you for being that voice for, for people that maybe are having a hard time being one, or just, having a hard time finding somebody that they can connect to, and they're connecting through your art. So that being said, now we're gonna go and watch all their videos, and we're gonna be actually gone for the night. This is gonna be our last thing, is watching their videos. So I just wanna say thank you for coming on the show, and I hope everybody has an amazing night.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Ahmaud Arbery, you went for a run, 'cause you probably felt free. Ahmaud Arbery, your run had an end that nobody could see. Little black boys don't run outside or play with water guns at night. They run away from red and white, blue light. Little black boys don't go to stores or use their pockets anymore. Can someone tell them what they're living for? They want more.
are scared. Their parents feel so unprepared. The world sees black no matter what you wear. So little black boys and girls don't cry. We'll fight to find an alibi so you can go outside and never die. We will try. We will try. We will try. We will try. We will try to run outside. Try to close our eyes. Try to walk the streets and never die. We will try to open doors. Try to go to stores. We'll try to find the light we're living for. We need more. We need more. We need more.
All we need to do is comply. But with my hands up, head down, yes, master, still alive. Breathe. You're scared of me. And I'm scared that you would never find the decency to love me. Breathe. Why you scared of me? I'm trying to fight my own battles, ones you created to get ahead of me. Breathe. While I still got this life in me, can you find it in your heart to walk beside me? Breathe. I'm only human. And just like you, I got emotions and feelings. Breathe. Question. What do you see when you look at me? A no good, drugged out rapper wannabe? But what I want to be is free. Cut these shackles loose so I can walk to the store alone, please. Did you learn this from your mama? Cause mine taught hymns and scriptures for times like this. She said, baby girl, keep your head up. God is listening and he's always by your side. But did I get it out tone so he can listen to you? Cause the world is in your favor and I'm on the bottom of your shoe. But you're trembling. And in my final moments I realize this must be God willing. But don't shoot me. Please. Don't shoot.
Beautiful day, what a beautiful day to be black. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day, what a beautiful day to be black. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day, what a beautiful day to be black. What a beautiful day. Let's go. Listen, hey, look, I'm working hard to turn these dreams of night vision into tangible reality worth living. I know that there's a place for us. These gifts he gave, he's got plenty to bring. The peace that we've been screaming, reality's been fine. Struggling to mend as we reclaiming time. Firming where we stand. No, the news may not show it, but I'll keep on growing. No, the world may not know it, but I'll keep on glowing. My enemies may deny it, but I'll keep on fighting. day, what a beautiful day to be black. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day, what a beautiful day to be black. Amen. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day to be black. Amen. What a beautiful day, what a beautiful day, what a beautiful day to be black. Good night, guys. Thank you.